Wait, hang on, the intro is hello, ladies and gentlemen, right?
Yes.
It's your intro.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Lads Discuss Death Battle ranking. I'm your only mate, and with me, as always, is Billy Bobby
Yo.
and Sean.
Hello once again, everybody.
Alright, well, this has been one hell of a season, hasn't it, lads?
Yeah, it's been a very good season, honestly.
I'd say it's somewhere in the top 3 for me.
I'd argue my personal favourite.
For obvious reasons, if you've been watching this channel for a long time.
Well, that and just, yeah, there's a lot of good episodes in it.
Yeah. But which one was our personal best?
Yes. So, like last time, these guys sent me their individual ranking for every episode this season, from least favorite to favorite. I compiled it
I
with
actually
mine.
worked on mine.
Yeah, you didn't just do, okay, here's the top 3, you know what, here's the rest, whatever.
Yeah, I had to admit that was one of my laziest moments.
Yeah, so if there's anything you don't like in the Season 7 ranking, blame Bill. Alright, so, unlike last year, when I assigned 16 to everybody's number... 20 to everyone's number 1, and 1 to everyone's number 20, and everything in between, add all them up, I decided to make it easier on myself, and just have it go by golf rules. So if we all had the same number 1, it would get a total score of 3.
Yeah, I feel like the original way when you did it was a bit of a headache.
Yeah, a little bit. This was much simpler, though.
Remember, kids, when in doubt, always go by the golf rules.
Alright, shall we get started?
Yes.
I am as ready as I'm gonna be.
Alright. Number 16. Iron Fist vs. Poe.
Hey! How many points did I get total, though?
Hang on, let me see. Thing is, I have these written down on 2 devices.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Iron Fist vs. Poe got a score of 42.
Wait. Oh, no. I did math wrong. Out of 48, it got that much.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Sean, you put it down as Iron Fish vs. Poe.
I am bad at spelling, and I will never be afraid to admit that.
Yeah, it was Sean's number 16, Billy's number 15, and where's mine? Mine number 11.
I would have put it in much lower, but however, when I rewatched a certain episode which might get brought up next, I will admit I definitely enjoyed this one a bit more. Not by much, but by a bit more.
I think my problem with this, besides lack of personal investment, is that I was kind of bored going back through this. Like, Austin Lee Matthews as Poe is fantastic.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only highlight of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Lee Matthews, steals the show for this episode.
I think the humor as well in the Wisdom Boomstick parts wasn't really that funny rewatching.
Yeah, and also, the banter was fine, but I didn't expect this to be as slow as it was.
Alright guys, I must make haste. I need to get my food, so I'll be right back.
Alright.
Okay. Honestly, though, it wasn't that this episode was bad, okay? I don't think any of these episodes we could consider, bad episodes.
Nah, even, my number 16, I can say positive things about it.
Yeah, it's just that a lot of people were looking forward to this, and I can understand why they were looking forward to it, but it just...
Oh, yeah, because...
The first time... Yeah.
First DreamWorks character, first animated movie character, and it's freaking Poe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, one of my, issues, quote-unquote, is, you know, a lot of death battles have those moments where you think back and you're like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah, did you not have any with this one?
There's one moment where I'm just like, where it has that oomph in the fight, and that starts when Iron Fist does that, like, skeleton punch.
Ah, yeah.
Then the fight's over pretty much right after that.
Yeah, and...
Although, to be fair, with this fight, it was going like the Kung Fu Panda route, where it's like more comedy than anything else.
Which wasn't a bad idea, but I don't know how Iron Fist fans feel though with this. You know,
hey,
because we've heard everyone talk about Poe, but I haven't heard anyone who likes Iron Fist talk about this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that they didn't spend his entire analysis just taking the piss out of him, because for the longest time, Iron Fist was like the Death Battle Crew's whipping boy because they didn't like his Netflix show. But there's not a trace of that in this episode.
I mean, another funny highlight that happened kind of after this episode was Saber King saying this was Poe versus Danny Phantom.
Oh, yeah. No one's ever going to let that go, are they?
Nope!
Oh, come on. You guys got to let that go eventually.
Hey, I'm his editor. I can hold it over his head as much as I want.
And, I mean, well... I mean, I don't know if Proboscis or Z-Dog are going to keep bringing that up.
Probably not.
Unlike them, they don't beat in a dead horse for the ha-has. The guy who constantly in his Let's Plays constantly brings up old jokes.
Now that Bill's back, we can hear a little bit more of his thoughts on this episode.
Honestly, I kind of gave my thoughts. Analysis wasn't that funny, and... Actually, I guess I didn't really give my full thoughts on the fight. Honestly, it started off building up a little bit, getting a bit interesting, but... The majority of, like, the Marvel fights we had beforehand, this one felt kind of weak. Especially given the type of character that Iron Fist is. He felt like he was just holding back a lot with a lot of his punches and kicks. It's like, I feel like this man should be moving a lot more fluently, more action-packed, and
the hit should have a bit more impact.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I kind of look at. It's trying to mostly be more about Poe rather than Iron Fist. A lot of slapstick and stuff like that felt more akin to, like, old school Kung Fu Panda cartoons and movies.
Yeah, I can get that.
Because when you actually even look up some of the comics or even some scenes from like the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, he's a pretty fast fighter. I think if you're an Iron Fist man, then you would not really get much satisfaction from this episode. I wasn't even that much of a fan of him, but yet I still felt like they kind of done him dirty in the fight. Till it got to the dragon bits, which was getting really cool, until it ended less than a minute.
I said something similar.
Yeah, and we're also talking about how like Iron Fist fans feel, and then Bill just comes in with that. Nice.
To be fair, I was getting my dinner.
I mean, yeah.
Bill, that was really good on you. Despite the fact you didn't hear what we were saying, you kind of followed up what we said pretty well.
But then, yeah, if they've already kind of said like everything about the episode, then that's how I felt.
Although I still like to make that joke at like the very end of the fight when Poe's all, "That was so cool! Wait till Master Shifu hears about this!" And just, I killed the guy! Or that Anchorman scene, just like, Poe, I've been meaning to talk to you for a while. Find a relative or a safe house close by. Lay low for a while because you're probably wanted for murder.
I think Iron Fist is an Avenger as well, so...
Oof.
Yeah, he's definitely been put on a watch list. Let's just say Black Widow might be paying a visit to him. Oh, wait.
Dude.
Cool.
It's not too soon. It's been nearly 3 years.
I mean, yeah. Number 15. Steven Universe versus Star Butterfly.
Are you sure we're not just going based off my list?
I feel like that episode should be a little higher, really.
I was
Let's see.
personally so excited for this episode.
I had it at number 10. Sean had it at
Number 15.
15. And Bill, you had it at number 13.
I think 13 is a pretty decent number for it, though, because it wasn't bad. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of these characters, and, going into it with characters I wasn't a fan of, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
I went, when I did the meme video from the You're Only Made thing, I said I was looking so forward to this episode happening. And then it happened, and then I just felt kind of disappointed with it. Because, right off the bat, I see people say that they went very calc heavy early for Steven. And Star, from what I was told, Death Vow didn't really portray Star as she progressed through her series well.
Yeah.
They kind of portrayed her as the psychotic early stages of Nora, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, it probably doesn't help that they decided to have her end of analysis clip be what it was, because it made her look like a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
If we're going by... Okay, from what I can kind of gather, and this is kind of like how Death Vow do a lot of their stuff when it comes to characters, they do like to use early interpretations of the characters if it's a popular version of them. Obviously, All Might versus Might Guy, they wouldn't really use how Might Guy is now compared to what he was in the older episodes in Naruto. And I feel like they wanted to mostly capture the more comedic side of Star, because after this, I did in fact watch the show off Disney Plus, and yeah, Star was much more entertaining than she was in season 3.
Yeah, but I still feel like there were better clips to use.
Yeah. There are some positive things about this episode.
Top Hat Spider.
Well, yeah, Liam as Top Hat Spider was fantastic.
Whoa,
Spider was the highlight for me. He was the GOAT of that episode.
Star's voice actor, I forget her name, but she's the voice of Bulma from DBZ Abridged, was fantastic.
Yeah, honestly.
And
It took me a while to realize it was her. Yeah, did a great job.
yeah, and honestly, it took me until halfway through the fight to get used to Caden as Steven, honestly.
I've never watched Steven Universe, so I can't really say.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I've heard people talk about how...
Yet to see it.
From what I've heard from Steven Universe fans, Caden doesn't sound like Steven, but she performs like Steven. So she gets the infliction and everything else right. It's just the voice isn't the same.
Yeah, but that happens sometimes with voice acting choices. It's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah, and honestly, I think getting the infliction right is the more important thing.
Exactly. Also, we gotta shout this out.
You could have someone...
Go ahead, Bill.
You could have someone who sounds identical to the character, but if they don't capture their personality, then it kind of undermines them in a way.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we do have to shout out the fact that Origin was able to work in a reference to both Gumball Viking and Red Runner in that animation.
Oh yeah, I remember a bunch of people freaking out when they noticed Red Runner's OC as a little engraving on a sandcastle.
That was cute. It's kind of crazy to think about how a lot more future animators and writers were just fans of the show.
Yeah, Luis started out as a fan.
I mean, to be fair, so were some of the... so were Max and Liam.
Glad you voiced Noob Saibot for the future. Death Battle, if you're watching, I'll gladly voice Noob Saibot.
What? That's random.
Shameless self-plug. Well, not really self-plug, but self-promotion. There you go.
I'm just saying, if fans can get into their roles, so can I.
It also
felt
really... It also felt really, really, fast paced and all over the place with this pacing.
Yeah, I've heard stuff about that. Some people say the fight was a bit too quick.
I think one of my favorite parts actually has to be when she got like slammed into the sand, and it pauses for a few seconds, and you just hear "ow."
No, it was more like, ow.
That's literally what I just said, dude.
So when Steven is lifting Star up like a plank of wood, but the hair is still dangling down.
I think the animation definitely saved it a lot for me.
Oh yeah.
Just much like with Poe versus Iron Fist, analysis wasn't that funny. The fight was funny, just not the analysis.
I enjoyed the analysis for this episode a lot, just because of the WTF of everything that happens in these shows.
Yeah, I bet you were can't talk, but you didn't know these characters, and then you went into this, and I think that's why you enjoyed this analysis a lot more than me and Bill did.
Yeah,
which is great.
Of course, Top Hat Spider.
I'm finished with talking about this episode. If you guys want to add anything,
I'm done.
I'll add something I heard on the commentary that initially shocked me, but then I found out the actual context of it. So, Caden's a big Steven Universe fan, and when finding out, oh, Steven's gonna lose, like, yeah, of course, it was like, oh man, that sucks. But then, upon seeing the animation and seeing the gem broken, she said she would have preferred to see, like, a bloodied up corpse, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I thought you liked this character!
Eesh!
But
I mean, isn't that showing that you love a character so much that you would make them suffer?
No. Yeah, for context,
Like a yandere.
No, for context, in Steven Universe, if someone's gem is broken, like, they're dead.
Yeah, because if the gem's just left, it takes a while for them to come back, and that's it.
Yeah, so it means more to Steven Universe fans. So.
I think it'd be more heartbreaking seeing that. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like you can be more brutal without the blood, and I think that's a good symbolism of like that's a pretty grim imagery.
Number 14, Macho Man versus Kool-Aid Man.
Surprising, and I'm not.
This is a
entirely sure I agree with
conspiracy.
it.
That's exactly where I had this on my list. Again.
And it's exactly where me and Max had it on our lists.
Wow. I mean, this episode tried to be different. I think it would be better if this wasn't necessarily a death battle as much as this was more like a pilot episode of The Adventures of Whiz and Boomstick.
Oh yeah, that could have worked really well.
I'll let you guys say your piece and I'll jump in with why I actually consider this episode to be a little bit higher than where you guys would rank it.
As someone who's like WWE as well, I'm like, oh cool, we get a wrestler. Then it's just like, I don't know if I want a WWE character in Death Battle again.
I mean, I'd be down for it, but
I think it depends on which one at the end of the day. Like, if it's Undertaker, then hell yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, okay, I feel like with this episode it tried to be both a death battle, but also that whole Adventures of Whiz and Boomstick thing.
Yeah.
But
So much went into this as well, yeah.
yeah, like, the only thing that really takes me, like, out of the fight, because, okay, don't get me wrong, the fight itself is great. I just don't really like how they just interrupt it for the sake of more analysis.
Okay, that's actually one of my big complaints about the episode. Why I ranked it a little bit lower.
This episode was only 12 minutes. At least on RT First it was.
Yeah, this is like season 1 or 2 length.
I mean, it's entirely hand-drawn as well.
Yeah, except for that claymation bit that Louise did.
Oh yeah, which was really good.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
I think the biggest problem, like Mate was saying, is that this tried to be two things at once, and it kind of didn't work out. But all the voice talent that was involved did really, really well as their characters.
Yeah, like, a big highlight for me was just Barbara's Mama Boomstick.
Not exactly Grandma Boomstick, but I think Mama Boomstick's a close second.
Well, yeah, but it's still Barbara Dunkelman voicing like a relative of Boomstick. Like, hell, I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the podcast. I probably did, but I'm bringing it up now for the hell of it. When Chad first got the script for this episode and he saw Mama Boomstick listed in the cast, he just sent it to Barbara saying, "It's time." And she was so excited. Yeah.
I also think one of the best things is this whole conclusion to who's Boomstick's dad.
Okay, now, on one hand, I'm glad we didn't get an interaction between Boomstick and Sarge. But on the other hand, like, the whole point is Boomstick learning that, well, he doesn't need that. Yeah, so, like, I get it, but, I mean, I would still like to see interactions between Boomstick and Sarge.
Maybe it'll happen in the future. Who knows? It's with Sarge's end quote. Like, I can't say the beginning part because I think Mate has it off the top of his head.
Wait a Davy Crockett minute! That boy sounds familiar. Great Caesar's juices! Did I have a son?
I think you can count this as his third appearance in Death Battle as well.
Yeah, Matt versus Carolina, Red versus Blue, and now this.
I feel like this is how you use a reoccurring character, though. Don't actually put him in fights, just have him in cameos.
Do we get Sarge versus Soldier?
Yes, next season, let's do it. We gotta have one RT fight a season.
Do it. Do it.
Bill, you said you wanted to talk about this real quick, right?
Oh, before we do, I had this one idea, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I spoke about it with Max briefly on our chat.
Shoot.
Do you remember what they did with the 7 Battle Royale? Where they kind of had the analysis and conclusion be a separate video?
And
Yeah.
I thought that was the worst thing ever.
No, but how do you think
Not worst thing ever.
How do you think that would have worked for this? Like, one video is just Wiz and Boomstick doing their thing. They come across Macho Man and Kool-Aid Man. And, I don't know, maybe there's like a bit more added to it. But then the analysis video is just Jocelyn and Dummy going over it.
I think for this episode, it probably would have helped a little bit.
I'll let you guys continue saying your piece on that, because I might disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the pros and cons for that. I just wanted to throw that out there as an idea. Number 13. Akuma versus Shao Khan.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Well, the fight itself was alright. But I feel like for a lot of people to really enjoy this episode, you would have to know fighting games pretty well.
Understandably.
And some people, there are some big turnoffs for people as well as in the animation. Like the environment choice was not the best idea.
Why were they fighting in a desert?
Why is Khan's throne there?
Why did Akuma use a raging demon on a skeleton?
Who
Okay,
was
to be
that
fair.
skeleton?
Was it Spinal
say
from Killer
skeletons,
Instinct?
People do know that form does have the ability to disintegrate people.
Not that I've heard.
I think you've heard. How much Street Fighter have you watched or played?
None, all my knowledge comes from Death Battle. I never said anything about that.
And
Look at M. Bison. Can you not see him being disintegrated in one scene when it was doing Akuma's analysis?
It showed one screenshot!
It shows him being disintegrated!
Yeah, his soul!
and then he came back because he got a new body. The end.
Because his old one got disintegrated.
And another problem I've seen people talk about is Gianni as Khan. Sure, he doesn't sound right, but as we were talking about earlier, he has the mannerisms and the tone of Khan.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know, I feel like maybe a filter could have helped. Because isn't that what they do with Shao Kahn, like, in anything else?
Yeah, they did it in MK11 and 9, but it wasn't. But it's like a little tinier. It's like a minor one
Yeah.
in
I
9
think
at
they were
least.
trying to go for like the original like game version. Because even though there's an echo in it, he does have the voice. in the original, there is an echo like when he speaks, but honestly, when the actor they got for the Shao Khan captured it really well.
And also,
He
it
even
gave
did his
Gianna
classic
his
lines.
first. It even gave Gianna his first win of Death Battle ever.
Yeah, so he's no longer the new Sean Bean of Death Battle.
Do you know what? Like that was another highlight I loved about this fight was the death. Like holy crap, Shao Kahn could not have more cooler. Like he ended the Mortal Kombat lose streak in an epic way. Like Akuma hits him with the Raging Demons, constantly hitting him. Then he stops the Raging Demon punch. Like I remember I was watching it on the way home from work, and I was like, "Oh, Akuma's won. Here it comes!" And I see the hand stop the punch. I'm like, "No!" I was like, first off, that's cool, but no. And then the feel the wrath of Shao Kahn and just rips his arm off. I was like, Jesus.
I will admit,
Akuma's dead.
it took me too long to realize that's what happened, because after the Feel the Wrath of Shao Kahn, it shows the hammer coming back down. It just made me think, wait, so the hammer sliced his arm off somehow? Like,
Then the hammer would hit him on the head later.
yeah, I don't know, it was just shot a little weirdly. Like, I don't know, maybe if like the hammer shot and the arm rip off like were switched.
Maybe,
Like-
but I will say that was a really cool fatality as far as MK characters winning goes.
Yes, like I had to admit, a lot of like, much as I love a lot of the Mortal Kombat fights, some of their victories are pretty lame.
I mean, I like Scorpions a lot because he turns into a penguin afterwards.
That is true. But like, look at people like
Oh, yeah?
Sub-Zero, where he does his classic fatality, but it just comes off so cartoony. He just puts his hand and pulls out spine. You hear the little cartoony splat, and then Glacius just falls apart, and it's just like, oh. Don't get me wrong, it was a nice little throw off because many people thought Sub-Zero lost there. He just teleported.
I will say though, there are two of the biggest things I feel like that are going for this episode is how they reevaluated both series really well.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think many people have. I think Mortal Kombat 11 changed a lot of people's opinions on Shao Kahn because many people said he was weak. But then it's kind of surprising looking at the original Mortal Kombat and realizing no, Shao Kahn is an understandable threat to the multiverse.
And the second biggest thing going for this, Phil as Akuma. Like,
Filled in the role
hell.
pretty good.
Huh.
Okay, that was very clever. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
It's like he progresses through Akuma, Shin Akuma, and Oni. Like Phil just went into this.
See, do you know what? There was actually a minor complaint. Okay, to be fair, this complaint was kind of made fun of in the Discord chats that I saw, but someone was complaining why Akuma said ashes to ashes, saying that is such a dumb line. Why did they make him say that? And I'm just like, they are aware ashes to ashes is like one of the most classic lines of like fiction of like a villain to say.
They
Not
all
only that, that's
fall
one
down.
of Akuma's lines. And the fact is, some people were trying to say, yeah, that was a dumb line as well. Akuma wouldn't say that. And it's just like, yeah, he would. That's one of his lines.
Also, the best
Me and the
part
person,
about...
me and the person, when we saw that Discord, we were both laughing about it in private chat. But I don't know. I've seen some dumb complaints like that for certain episodes this season.
I think another big thing going, like my favorite part of this analysis is just Shao Kahn making fun of Boomstick's puns.
Oh yes.
I find that funny and also a little odd.
Oh, odd for you because you've never played the Mortal Kombat games.
Oh, yeah, but I also know, like, Shao Kahn's not a fourth wall breaker, right?
To an extent, however, he is also the announcer for every Mortal Kombat game. Well, except in Mortal Kombat 11 when you can have Johnny Cage, and he does have some funny names for the characters you select.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
but
I
Shao-
still get a chuckle out of him saying, "You suck."
I wish they said it in this animation somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll take,
But yeah,
is that your best, or honestly?
oh yeah, like when the actor, I can't remember their name, who
Gianni.
said, said Shao Kahn's lines. Like, I even love the little humor, like, weak, pathetic fool gets chinned by Shin Akuma. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't mouth off to Akuma. He's not going to let you mouth off to him.
Yeah, although I do wish Shin Akuma looked a little better, though, because, like, when you look at the model, it's clear they just turned the brightness up on his hair.
To be fair, when he does transform, he does glow.
Oh yeah, but they also show Shin Akuma's model in the analysis, and, well, that looks fine. I just feel like it would have looked a little less silly in the animation.
But to be fair, we were back in Blender style for this one.
True.
So there's probably some limitations still that need to be worked out.
Yeah, and I don't animate,
We're
so
good.
I'm not really one to say, oh, they should have done this in the animation. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think you just have to be a little bit more invested into fighting games a bit if you really want to get into this episode.
Like me. Do you know what? Also, the fact they brought in his Mortal Kombat 9 X-ray on Akuma, that was brutal. And I was really thinking that should have been kind of used for the kill and blow, because X-ray moves have kind of been used as like the kill and blows for a lot of Mortal Kombat fights.
Well, they also wanted to work in fatal blows as well this time around.
Yeah, which I like. They combined that with Akuma's super move, the Raging, but then they cut to immediately him like teleporting around you, striking you like he does in the stories.
Yeah, Raging Demon this time around also was kind of like a low point.
Yeah, it was a little slow.
I really I don't agree with that. I thought it was really good because it's obviously referencing the fatal blows, but it's also shown like Oni's version of it, where he starts off slow and he's doing a few blows, but then it immediately cuts to him striking you multiple times, and before he can deliver the final blow, Shao Kahn blocked it with his hand, which that has to be probably the coolest moment Shao Kahn's ever had since Mortal Kombat 9. Like, he stopped the Raging Demon. He pretty much went, no, fuck you.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'll give the episode that.
Yeah. I think there are on the little things that they could have improved would have helped this episode a lot more, though. Especially the environment change to make it like visually look better.
I don't know. Maybe if it was in like an arena or something.
Yeah, that's actually one of my complaints and why I didn't put it any higher was, yeah, I do think, if they want to do this, and I can understand if they didn't want to do it because it would have taken up a lot of models with Blender. Because Blender can't handle too many models, otherwise it will start breaking. But I do kind of feel like they could have done maybe a green screen when doing the Akuma versus Shao Kahn fight, and then had I don't know, maybe a sort of sprite background for the audience members. Just have them in the arena.
I mean, Black Knight vs. Sindel already did that, so
I think the episode's good. I don't consider it. It's in my top 10.
Also,
I wouldn't. I don't consider it better than the episode it came before it.
I do think one of the also nice parts was the lead up where a lot of people that I knew of were leaning so into Akuma, and then as the hype was getting up to it, a lot more people were thinking that Khan had this. And surprise, Khan conquers Street Fighter.
Yeah, I think as many of us were going with the Mortal Kombat 11 mindset, where honestly, Shao Kahn was not that powerful. However, with the original stories of Mortal Kombat, yeah, Shao Kahn's definitely more of a powerful threat. The fact I never realized how powerful Blaze was, that he could actually destroy the multiverse of Mortal Kombat with his power. And Shao Kahn canonically was the one that defeated him.
Boom, sick. He whooped that red hot ass.
Yes, I love that line. So, I think that's what kind of changed my whole... This is another thing why I'm ranking this episode higher upon the other episodes, is that it made me kind of respect Shao Kahn again, because he was just kind of treated as a joke after Mortal Kombat 9. He's just that guy that gets beaten up a lot and his invasions always fail, but he's been made into a more interesting threat. At least I hope they do that for the next game, anyway. He did nearly become a god. This is on nearly. Actually, I have to kind of ask you guys this. Do you think do you think Shang Tsung versus Akuma would end differently? Because in Mortal
Nah.
Kombat 11, Shang Tsung defeated him.
Oh, well.
No, because to do that, he needed the crown of Chronica.
Oh yeah, I guess he did. Okay, no, the episode doesn't change then. No.
Alright, shall we move on?
That's all I have to say. Yeah, I overall like this episode.
Alright. Number 12. Batman vs. Iron Man.
I'll be honest, for a while I forgot this happened.
And
Wow.
that is actually sad to hear.
Oh, because it's like, this is Batman's 4th episode.
We're up
This is
to
probably arguably...
we're up to as many Batman episodes as we have Death Stars in Star Wars.
That's fair.
I'm not sure that's entirely true now, thanks to Rise of Skywalker.
Well, we got a different kind of Death Star in that.
True. It's like we got a different type of Batman in this one.
Yeah, they
True,
were different, but
Yeah.
they were really focused on the Hellbat a lot. I felt they were more so prefacing that in his analysis compared to Tony's, whereas Tony's, they went over so many different suits.
Oh yeah, because Tony has, well, to put it in a scientific term, shitloads.
Yeah, however, apparently they I'm not sure if this is entirely true. Apparently they knew that Iron Man was going to win beforehand. That kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and I probably would have ranked this lower if that's the mindset that we're going to, knowing that Batman was going to just be brought in just to lose again.
Well, Billy, keep in mind, how they do these episodes is they look at a matchup, decide they're going to do it, and sure, they'll have their initial thoughts on who's going to win, and then they'll do the episode, do all the research, debate it, and then find out who they're actually going to go with. Like, for example, as I bring up a lot with this, Sasuke versus Hiei, they went into that thinking Sasuke was going to win.
I know there's that, but however, what I got told is that before they even started researching this, they were going into this mindset that Iron Man was going to win, from the get-go, and they were mostly rooting for that. It could just be a false rumor, because let's be real here, sometimes some information can get taken out of context.
I haven't heard anything like that.
That's why I'm hoping this is probably just a false rumor, and because overall I'm a Batman fan. If my favorite character was just brought in just to die, and yeah, that would leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth.
I think for a lot of people, that's why some people probably rank this one a little bit lower too, is the fact that it's Batman coming back again.
He's a cool character though, and I don't hate the fact he returned. I mean, I kind of do, but the fact is they gave him more here's the thing that kind of puts it a bit lower for me, is that he focused a bit too much on his base armor and equipment rather than the new Hellbat and his other suits, like the final bat suit.
Yeah, I'll be honest, for about half of Batman's analysis, I was kind of bored. And anytime I go to rewatch the episode or watch a reaction, I kind of skip to when they start talking about the Hellbat.
Fair enough.
Don't get me wrong, if they wanted to just gloss over Batman stuff, just talk about his basic tools, then that's kind of fine. If they want to say we want to give Tony everything, then it's like, well, then give him everything. They don't even give him the Batmobile. It's like, you're going to give him all his equipment, but never the Batmobile?
And I don't think it would have changed anything.
Okay, then,
Also,
getting out of that mindset, mate, wouldn't it have been...
pain in the ass.
Yeah. Also, they used the
that
Batmobile
mindset,
in Batman vs. Black Panther.
For a few seconds, but however, mate, to get out of that mindset, don't you think if you're going to feature Batman with all his most popular gear, you would bring the most iconic vehicle in all of comics? Wouldn't that have been a cool shot to see base armor Iron Man shooting up with the Batmobile?
Nope.
I don't know. But if I had to choose between that and more stuff with the Hellbat, I'd probably just go more with the Hellbat.
Also, they put a lot of sprite work into Tony's other's armor, which I think was a really nice choice.
Yeah. Let's be fair, they still probably had the sprite for the Batmobile they used in Batman vs. Black Panther lying around. Then there's writing it in, adding it, and changed up the fight, like that whole thing.
Also, that
Yes, it would have been
death,
so hard to have a cool car drive about and shooting like weaponry at a man that flies.
also they wanted it to make a little bit more sense logically too.
Logically, they literally have a man with armor that he could just summon at will. Some of it that can go intangible, some of it that can shrink down to atoms. It means nothing to these two.
I will say, I don't know if you guys have seen memes of this, by the way, but when Bruce does the bust this, I've been seeing people make photo memes quoting that.
That I do think that is a fantastic line.
Just the way the bat symbol glows as the fist is going, and it leaves the
Oh,
bat
no.
signal through so many walls after the laser too.
Oh no, his fist glowing, that wasn't the bat symbol, it was two W's.
Oh yeah, it was the Wonder Woman thing, because that part was made by Wonder Woman.
Yeah. That's kind of a blink and you'll miss it detail. Also,
Iron Man definitely had the better lines for this fight than he did in previous episodes. I think his lines were a lot better than Tony's.
I argue, though, to be fair, Tony had the better voice actor as well.
Batman's voice was really good.
I still think Gianni did good. Also, oof
Yeah,
for him to
they
dying
were-
to Iron Man again.
Yeah, they were
It's
both
good trying to
was
capture the Troy
problem.
Baker type of voice.
Yeah, they turned Batman into Papyrus.
Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, right, at the end, I was like, what?
For a second I was
No,
like, what the
at
hell are
this
you
point-
talking about?
Yeah, it was
The
like,
end death was fantastic.
just goes, bust this. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, apparently, like, from what I've heard, some people didn't like the music.
I thought Suit Yourself was great.
Yeah, that honestly baffles me. Like, even when I was first watching it, and I was, like, initially still annoyed it was Batman's fourth time, I still thought the music was freaking awesome.
I guess
These are
fans
definitely-
today just don't know AC/DC. That's what this
These
track felt like.
definitely really kicked in for me was when all the Iron Man suits charged at the Hellbat, and the Hellbat just summoned like the Dark Swarm to consume them all. That was another highlight for me, like the Hellbat just destroying all his other suits, showing that despite Iron Man having a lot of this weaponry, really the Godbuster suit was the only thing that could match up to the Hellbat. The other suits were just like patty cakes.
Plus,
Now I
Tony
really want to see a
was-
redub of that, him going patty cakes, while fighting all the suits.
Oh god, like Napper and Abridged.
Yeah.
Patty cake, baker's man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can.
Just before he does the busters, he goes, "Good effort, but I am the patty cake champion." What? Punches him through the walls.
Oh god, and right after Friday initiates self-destruct, you just hear, Vegeta, why? Right before the explosion.
The death was actually pretty epic. As much as I'm pretty sure people would be expecting me to be sad seeing Batman die for the third time. I think compared to the other deaths, this is the less shit on your face type of death for me.
Plus, it was the most creative.
At least Batman was
that we
still
had.
fighting to the end, and he didn't just give up and just allow himself to die.
Well, I mean,
We-
also just, well, didn't work on Killian, but it worked here.
Also, the sweet irony of it all too. Master escape artist dies to something he can't escape from.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I still like his death in Batman vs. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Nothing like seeing your hero just held up and decide to just chillax, only to just die.
Well, those are webs that can restrain the Hulk.
And
Well, yeah, it's gonna take a while to get out of those, and there was so many.
I think I'm always
at least
stuck
show
between-
Batman putting up a fight to escape it.
I mean, yeah, that would have helped.
I'm always stuck between this and Batman vs. Spider-Man as Batman's best episode, but I lean slightly more towards Batman vs. Spider-Man because comedy.
Number 11. Shadow vs. Ryuko. To give everyone watching this an idea, this is Billy's number 16, Sean's number 13, and my number 2.
So we found the equivalent of last year's list of Cable vs. Booster Gold then.
Guess so.
I guess.
Here's my problem. I always skip the shadow analysis every time I want to go back and watch this episode. It's boring.
It's really boring. And this is coming from someone who used to really like Shadow.
I don't get that.
I'm pretty sure in the podcast, me and Bill also said that we both like Shadow. It's just that we grew away from liking Shadow.
Yeah, over time, I kind of saw the enormous hate he got in Sonic Adventure 2 when it first released. Is that, yeah, it feels like they were trying too hard to create a rival for Sonic that was so edgy and different from him. And it was just like, kind of did it better with Sonic and Knuckles.
And I know we wanted Shadow to have a good episode, and I argue that this is a good episode for him.
I'd say this is his best episode. Shane?
I like Shadow vs. Vegeta just a little bit more because I like the voice actors for Vegeta a bit more.
And yet you don't want Lenny back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really.
What?
Just to give someone else a chance and see what they can do, you know?
Anytime I think of like any fandom voicing Vegeta, I think Lanny.
Yeah, same.
Like, sure, there's probably other voices out there that do pretty good. Didn't we mention this in one podcast?
Yeah,
So,
in our live stream we
Vegeta-
talked about it. Yeah.
I haven't watched too much of their videos, but it's like, he does all right. I wouldn't say he's my favorite though. I still kind of think about Lanny whenever I think of Vegeta.
Same.
I will say though that like a lot of people were saying this was a big stomp, and at least
Most
Death
of
Battle
this
tried to
season
give-
was big stomps. Let's be
Oh,
real.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But this one didn't feel as big when they went into the post analysis. It's like, yeah, Ryuko does have something. It's not like particularly specific though. As another
You know what?
episode we'll talk about later.
No, actually, Yang. Since we've kind of mentioned Stomp, Yang Insane kind of pointed this out that majority of community requested death battles or most wanted death battles by the official crew. 90% of them are one-sided fights.
I feel like that's also because of another topic we are probably going to talk about at some point. Is like the theme for these characters just makes the most sense.
Yeah, theme versus stats.
I feel like if you try and find an even fight, you might just create a really boring fight that overall just isn't that interesting.
Okay, but they tried so hard for this episode, and there are some good things about it. I will say that. Especially something that I think Z-Dog will beat into your head constantly. Chaos Unraveled.
It's so good.
Probably the third best soundtrack this season.
It was actually a really good soundtrack. I did commend that. You know what? The soundtrack is actually really kick-ass.
And apparently they incorporated All of Me, which is one of Shadow's themes in there too.
This is his most popular song, especially from his own game.
They
Also,
also tried...
in the lyrics, they've got "Don't want to lose your way," and "Don't lose your way" is a Kill la Kill track, or at least it's a well-known lyric.
Yeah.
I'm actually aware of that song. Yeah, I think Kill la
leads me
Kill
to
has
my-
some pretty cool music.
Which leads me to my next positive point, is that they tried so hard to make this also a really good representation of Kill la Kill. Like, Ryuko's voice actor and Senket's were fantastic.
Yeah, and
As well as
also,
the hand-drawn scenes for the transformation.
and even some of the art style of like when she was just slashing wildly while Shadow was doing his tornado.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, they just had so many cool moments when they were fighting, and even still some hilarious ones, like Shadow pulling out the gun and just throwing it away. Shadow grabbing the sword and doing the spin dash, and basically making that like.
I will
Sorry,
say,
I'm
that
a
is an
lost
ugly
words.
sword. That is an ugly sword, though.
It's from the video game.
I know, and it's still ugly.
But actually, I wonder, would that have been a good opportunity to reference Sonic and the Black Knight? Like, have him have the sword he has in that game?
Maybe.
I completely forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, because like a lot of people said, "Oh, that's a really creative thing." Like the sword and the spin dash. Like, yeah, that's a thing they do in that game.
Look,
That'd be a little
I've
nice
never
Easter
actually
egg.
heard of that.
That'd be a nice Easter egg for Sonic fans. Oh, speaking of Shadow, though, I like the voice actor they got for him as well this time around.
Yeah,
Like, people weren't really that upset that this wasn't Taka again, but I forget his name, but this is the same guy who did John Talbane.
Yeah, it was. Like, I still kind of wish it was Taka, so maybe he could voice Shadow one last time and have that be, like... have his voicing for Shadow go out on a high note. Rather than have his last performance of Shadow be Mewtwo versus Shadow.
Oh, come on, his voice and that was hilarious. Screw you! Oh, that still makes me laugh.
Why am I glowing?
Okay, that line is funny.
Also, I know we talked about this in the podcast, but the death was pretty nice. Unless you like watching the boobs jiggle.
Yeah, why was that detail added?
Fan service!
Well, admit,
True.
I actually did look up some clips on Killer Kill, but the only thing that seems to pop up a lot when you search it up is this character called Miko. I think is how you pronounce her name. Yeah, and honestly, I can't lie. Excluding a lot of the fan servers with Ryuko, she's definitely the more... No, she seems to have Toon Force on her side. And I'm just like, could she have not been in Death Battle instead? She was way more interesting.
There is a popular request for her.
Oh, yeah?
Versus Chie from Persona 4.
I don't know much about that, but I'd say we'll go for it as long as we get her in Death Battle, because honestly, the clips I saw with her and Ryuko was actually funny.
I want a Persona 4 character in Death Battle.
Her English dub is actually considered to be even better.
Maybe next season, who knows?
I'd be down for that, just for the sake of seeing her in a Death Battle. Actually kind of funny now, this Death Battle made me want to see a completely different character over Ryuko.
Yeah, and
Kind of why I kind of rank it lower.
Also, like, when I want to skip a third of the episode, well, technically we have fourth, if we account post-analysis as a separate segment, which you should. That just brings it down. Like, I like learning about Ryuko. That was fun.
meanwhile, I still freaking love this episode. Like, I didn't even talk about when they both go super. Yeah, I initially wanted Shadow to say, wow, what a ripoff, as a callback to Vegeta. But, I don't know, him saying, faker. Like, little nod to Sonic Adventure 2, while also referencing the line just a little bit. That was a nice touch.
They already referenced a previous line anyway from other Shadow episodes, Sayonara.
Oh, yeah, no, okay. So, first of all, when Ryuko is in the Kisaragi form, and she does the Scissor Blade alumni mode, no reason she couldn't have used those together in the actual show. She just didn't. But having her use them both together here, that was really freaking cool. And after the Sayonara dipshit, and Shadow just destroying the Scissor Blades by saying, "Shut up!" I have to admit, that was cathartic as fuck.
I thought that was also kind of maybe a nod to Archie Silver when got sick of everyone saying it's no use making fun of him.
I mean, yeah.
I think that I can't remember the entire context, but I think Silver completely tore apart a room after he was struggling in a fight because he got sick of hearing it's no use. Maybe that was a nice little nod to that.
Who's to say?
Maybe.
But yeah, I freaking love this episode. Like, I was so happy with this season. Started so strong for me.
That's
Like,
fair.
God damn, and also, like, admittedly, some of the reason I love it is because in my reaction, I got to do that opening skit that I wanted to do for over a year. But other than that, just I thought the episode was fantastic. Voice acting was great. It's still surprising to me they got a Simpsons voice actor for Ryuko.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and it's Comic Book Guy's wife. Could you imagine Comic Book Guy watching the episode and just going, worst timeline ever? Yeah, these guys don't like this episode. I freaking love it. And I question constantly how this one is below the one we're about to talk about.
This is Blake Belladonna with Your Only Mate saying like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.